Well, it's a great day. Hey, fellow traders, this Black Coffee Trader doing my recap today on Friday, April the 17th, and we have a very nice green day today. This is not all correct because there's a rhythmic issue. The Apex accounts from yesterday did not change, so this is incorrect, this one, and these three red ones. So the only accounts I traded today were the Lucid accounts and this Take Profit Trader account, and had a absolute banger trade that you can see right here on the Take Profit Trader account. So I want to talk about that. There's a couple lessons here. I noticed something today, and this is something that keeps happening to me, where I get into a trade a little bit too early. Or if I get in too early, maybe early is not the right word. Maybe it's more I get into the trade, and because of where I'm getting in, I'm leaving my stop a little bit too tight, or I'm taking a little bit too big of a size, and that's really kind of what happened. You know what? It might be simpler if I just walk through TradeZilla on this, but I mean, monster trade, big trade. Too bad I didn't take it with all my accounts. I did have a loss earlier, so we didn't get the full benefit. That's why the P&L is only 300 instead of the 460 or whatever this trade was. So they don't come around every day, but capitalized on this really, and this is a great textbook break, retest, long. I mean, that's what we want. Risk right down here, so we have a very tight risk, or we're able to have a tight risk, and there's the reward. The reason that this risk works so well is the point is if we break back below this area, the trade is invalidated. We're expecting downside, and if that doesn't happen, we hold the trade and we let it run. So before we get into, well, let's just go there. Let's go into TradeZilla. So here's today up 400 bucks. You know, not a great big day, but nice average win to loss. And you know, we made back most of our loss from yesterday, so that's good. And we have a green week for once. It's been a little bit. Let's see. March was a horrible month. We had no green weeks in March. The last 2 days of March were green by 247, and yeah, we had 6 straight red weeks, and we finally put a green week on the chart. So that is good. That is positive. Let's jump into the trades themselves. Let's go to this trade. That's this one right here, and I'll show you what we were looking at here on the entry. So I can walk you through the other trades. So notice the first one was right here. There's an entry right there. Literally just stop break even. Fine with that. Again, okay trade, okay take on that trade. It just simply didn't work. The market wasn't there yet. The second entry was right here, and the problem with this second entry, you know what? Let me go back. Let me go back for just a minute. Bear with me. Problem with the second entry. This is that trade. Notice the wick on the first, before, right here's the first entry. Notice the wick right before that first entry. That's what caused me to take that trade. This wick and the fact that we were holding well above the all-time highs here on that break and retest, this little consolidation and then this push higher, that's what prompted this entry. Now, when I got back into this trade for the second time on this entry that you see right here, my stop is sitting right at this wick, and that's a mistake. My stop should have been here, below this structure, in case we get a little wick down before we move higher, which is exactly what happened. And I find that to be a recurring theme, and you'll see that in the trade I took on the Lucid accounts later day today, and I'll show you that as well. But anyway, after I got stopped out at a break even, and then we had a break even and then a full stop out, so it was down like 160 after commissions. Obviously, there's the stop out right here. This is the stop out on the second trade. And then we wicked right off of VWAP and off the bottom of this range, and powerful push higher, and that was my cue to get long entry. I entered, and the trade just immediately kept on running. I love when it does that. And yeah, this trade just ran. It ran and ran and ran. $457 trade. Really happy about that. Full 3R on the position. I think it was like, yeah, 305. So really good trade, and really happy about that. Now, I also want to talk about why I managed to take profit at the highs. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason for, I mean, I was obviously scaling out as I typically do. But I started after the first, I took half off here at, I don't know, this was right around 2R, not quite 2R, but close. And then I took more off here at these highs, took the third off at 20 points. and then I still had one runner, and I let that one run all the way. And here's what I was doing. We had broken above all-time highs on the Russell. We were also on an uptrend on the NASDAQ. And let's see, ES I think also had broken. Yes, ES had broken the highs pre-market. We had a big surge above previous highs, all-time highs on ES, and so I was, watching that. We were strong on ES, and so the concern that I had was NQ was the only one that was not sitting at or sitting above all-time highs. The white line is the previous all-time highs. You can see we did break that here. We also broke it here, and we dipped down back below it. But when I was in this trade, NQ was approaching this area right here. And I said to myself, okay, if we get to this point, we might see a little bit of a rejection. I just felt like NQ might reject at the all-time highs because it just seemed that we were running out of gas. And so at that point, once we got close here on my Russell trade, I started aggressively trailing my stop. I had left the stop sit like somewhere here after this profit target hit. And then as we got up into somewhere here, I moved the stop up to 2R not 2R, 4R to 20 points. And I was like, I'm just going to let it sit. And then once I recognized that we were getting close to that all-time high on the NASDAQ, I started really aggressively trailing my stop. Like I would trail it in like about 5 points behind price. And did get stopped out, which was I was completely fine with that. Excellent trade. We then immediately dipped back down, and I was really happy I took that profit. We did go back up and test this area again, but rolled over. So that was about as well of an executed trade as I've had in quite some time. And again, just reading the market correctly and having the wherewithal to get back into the trade even after the loss, recognizing that, well, my stop was a little bit too tight. I had too much size in that second entry. And, this little wick hold was the prompt to get long and go higher. So that's the other thing, too, that I like about the way I trade with a smaller stop, a tighter stop. So I'm always only risking 150, but I'm giving myself a lot of upside potential. And I'm never taking profit at less than 150. So I'm always going to have a 1R profit or more. So that means that it's just a losing trade is going to be wiped out immediately by the next win, or maybe I wipe out 2 to 3 losers with a win, which is exactly what happened here. Now, going back to yesterday, I had a bigger loss on my Take Profit Trader account. I had a $492 loss. I took 3 full losing trades. If I would have stuck to my rule at 2, I would have been down like 300 or maybe 320 or something after commissions. I would be almost back to break even today. So 1 win would have made up 3 losses. I took 3 losses yesterday and a loss this morning. So I took 4 losses, and that 1 win, it got me close. I'm not quite back, but it works if I stick to my rules. And the fact that I didn't stick to my rules yesterday and didn't quit after 2 losses is the reason why we're not right at break even or almost green. So anyway, that is great. The other trade was on ES, and that was a late day trade on ES. I was pretty much done for the day. I was happy with that move in the morning. Yes, it was 1 account, $300, no big deal. Not a huge green day, but it was a great trade. And then I noticed that ES started testing initial balance high. Initial balance is commonly known as the first hour. I wasn't really looking at initial balance. I was looking at this little consolidation range. And then I realized that was right at the highs from IB. And so when we retested this, I started watching this. And then right about here, I started to get interested in maybe taking a trade on the Lucid accounts. And as you can see, I did what I just talked about. Here's my first entry. Again, there's nothing wrong with this entry at all. In fact, I want to show you on TradeZella what it looked like because it looked awesome. This loss right here. So notice the hold, and then notice this wick pushing higher. I mean, a lot of buyers stepping in. Volume a little bit lighter later in the day, but buyers stepping in took the long, and this trade started to run. Here's where I made the mistake. I made the mistake is we had this push higher, and we were kind of stalling, and then we started rolling over. And at that point, I should have killed it and waited for a better entry. That was the mistake. The other mistake, if I can be critical, is my stop was sitting right here. My stop should have been sitting below this level. See this red wick? You might barely be able to see it, but that red wick comes right to the bottom of this intraday level that I drew on the charts. And so if the stop is sitting below that, I mean, it needed to be sitting just, quite a bit below there, but it could have easily if I would have taken less size. Then I could have survived that. So I think the bigger thing really is I should have recognized the rollover and killed this trade before it stopped me out for a full stop out. So that was the mistake, I feel like. And then again, just like the trade on the Russell this morning, we had, look at this green candle, strong push higher, and that's what cued the entry. We had a little bit of stagnation, and then we finally pushed, and I got out of there with about $200 and some on that last trade, and that put those accounts back to green. Not green by much, but green by a little bit. Just make 209, and there again here you can see that entry, that push, and again now the stop was sitting in the right position. It's below this level, it's below this wick, and if it hits that, obviously we're going lower. It didn't, and trade management was correct. So a good day, really happy with it. Here's something else that made this day even better. I mean, there's not a whole lot that can make this better, executing a nice trade like this. However, I did have a really good day on evals. I did finally pass these TPTs this morning in the pre-market. So nice $400 win pre-market. So thankfully those are passed, and I can activate those prior to them rebilling tomorrow. And I will have 3 take profit funded accounts. So that moves the funded account total to 3, 4, 5, and I've got 8 Apex accounts. So we'll have 13 funded accounts on Monday. So that is great. And the other thing, I then started to I had a good day on these other evals. And again, these accounts, this account here doesn't mean anything. Let me erase it. This account is one of the rhythmic accounts that didn't get the P&L straightened out on the overnight with the rhythmic issue. So I didn't trade it. I did trade the rest of the accounts that you see. So I was copy trading this one, these 2 that are red, and these 2. So 6 accounts. It is in the morning open on NQ. I was trading minis, and I did hit the DLL with these 2. Somehow the other one survived, so with a little bit of a slip fill, but obviously I was red in the morning. And then I just kept trading them, not the whole day, but what happened is I started to look at NQ. And again, as I talked about earlier about this rejection, I just felt like we're going to get a pullback. And really all I was doing is I was just shorting these highs. I was shorting these highs and getting these moves. I was shorting this intraday. And I need to do this more with my funded accounts. There's really no reason why I don't. Like here, for example, let me see if I can just copy this. Might be simpler for you to see. Okay, look at this. Look at this break and retest. This morning area held right in here around this 26,825s. We finally broke that area, and we came back up, and what did we do? We retested it, and we fell again. And I took that trade with some size with these evals. And there's really no reason not to do that more with the funded accounts. I don't do it like I should, but I was really just doing that. I took this short as we rejected here. I took that one, caught a really nice trade there. I took this one. I think I took 1 or 2 more here, but whoops. I forget. But anyway, that's what I was doing. And I was just trading with a decent amount of size, micros, but decent size, and really had a pretty nice day. I mean, this account here is day 2. I think I've traded it, and I'm at 2,600 in profit. So actually almost 2,700. So I need a little over $300 to pass that one. And then day 1 here up 1,700. Day one, all of these are up 1,700. So it was a really good day. I'm happy, really happy to finally have passed these TPTs, and it looks like we're going to be able to add some more Apex accounts to our arsenal. And I'm happy about that because I just don't have enough trades in a day, typically good trades in a day, to trade all of my funded accounts. And so the good part is I'm going to go back to copying some of these in smaller groups. I'm not copying the whole ball of wax, but I'll trade my Lucids, I'll trade my TPTs, and then maybe take the Apex accounts and break them into like a couple of groups of 5 or something like that, and try to get some traction and get them moving. So anyway, again, feels like we're out of the little red slump that I was in. I feel like I'm definitely trading a little bit better. Definitely still having, red trades and red days, but the key is having good days overall in a bigger stretch of trade. So anyway, thanks again for following along. Appreciate you guys. Sorry for the longer video, but there was a lot to talk about here. So again, thanks for following along. Hope you guys had a great day. Hope you had a great week. Have a good weekend, and we'll be back with you next week. Till next time, take care, and so long.